Lawton, Oklahoma. Other owners and drivers include Ken Sweet, Doug Joyner, also known as the Flying Fuzz. Car restoration was completed in 2017 by Dwayne Wolf and many others assisting Dawn. Roger Burnett out of Dodge City, Kansas. That's a super modified. That is the one car. It's a 1968 CAE chassis restored in 2016 and 17 with CAE factory racing colors. It is a Chevy 350 V8. Devin Krall out of Blue Springs, Missouri. He drives the 12 sprint car. There's a 1987 sprint car. Larry Cotton out of Salina, Kansas. That is the 99 Super Modified. A 1967 Nance chassis built by Dale Lopel of Dallas, Texas. It won the Devil's Bowl Championship in 1975. It was brought at a racer's auction in 2000 and restored by Larry and son Troy. It is a Chevy 358 V8. Todd Crowell out of Salina, Kansas. That is the number 10 Super Modified. Car was originally owned and driven by Bill Rick of Oklahoma in 1974 and 75. This is a 74 100 Nance chassis with a body built by Todd and Sons. Engine is a 350 Chevy V8. The 7C, that's Jack Couse out of Plainville, Kansas. It's a 1980 Gambler chassis from Pennsylvania, where it's reported to hold the fastest time at Larnerville Speedway in Sarver, Pennsylvania. It runs a Chevy V8. Troy Cotton out of Salina, Kansas. The 4N sprint car, Wichita car with Nance chassis, 350, Chevy 350 engine. The 1N sprint car out of Selden, Kansas. That's Mark Miller on 1978 Nance chassis from Texas, and the rest of the history not known. Power plant is a Chevy 350 V8. Then the 1X, that is James Mossberg. It's a 1980 sprint car, and that is all we know about that, as white flag flies here for flight number 1 for your antique drivers. Pulled from a tree row for an auction and put on the track in 2009. The engine is a 1946 Ford Flathead V8. 98, that is the white, that's the cream colored actually, Super Modified. That is Terry Guile out of Scandia, Kansas. Tribute car by Larry Hall and John Aller for Bryson Mills to look like the Walt McWhorter car from 1968 to 70. It's a Chevy V8 power plant. The 76, driven by Brent Horker out of Longdale, Oklahoma. It is a 1962 Super Modified. The 10, Alan Solomons out of Dodge City, Kansas. That is a Jalopy. It is a 1932 Hudson Essex, originally owned by Richard Doherty out of Great Bend, Kansas, and driven by Lee Solomons of Larned, Kansas. Car and driver were Merrick Points champions in 1958. Engine is a 232 Hudson Flat 6, restored in 2007 through 9 by Allen and Lee. They lettered the car like it was in 1959. That's that green number 10 Jalopy working its way through 3 and 4. Then the 2 car, that is a Sprint 4. Keenan Elliott is a Pinto 4-cylinder powered by Chet Wilson Performance. Keenan hails from Belleville, Kansas. The 1 car, Rick England. It is a midget from Wichita, a Rick Stewart chassis. The car originally came from New Mexico. It passed through several owners, as well as being in western Kansas for a time before Rick bought it. It is powered by a Scat VW engine and a shifter rear end. A 38, that's KB Murphy. It is a Track T Roadster from Wallace, Kansas. Ford Model T Roadster built by Ron Murphy as a 1950 style track roadster. Engine is a Ford Flathead V8. And Andy Short, another Sprint 4 car out of Hayesville, Kansas. It's the 37. Car was originally built to run in the Sprint 4 class. It is a 2000 Ford Pinto 4-cylinder built by Chet Wilson. And the 44, driven by Sam Seeger out of Minnow, Oklahoma. It is the 1968 modified, raced at Enid Speedway. Richard Powell was the driver at the time, and the car was well known throughout Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas. The 28, that's Weston Krause out of Utica, Kansas. It is a sprint car. It's a 1980 sprint car with a Chevy V8. As the white flag waving here in the final flight for your exhibition races of antique racers, as they now receive the checkered flag, and they'll move on to the pits, and we will get things rolling on next with your Golden Plains Trucking IMCA Hobby Stock main event.
Give us the work no one else wants to do. We don't just go against the grain, we grow it. Give us the frontiers, the places where success is measured and pushed limits. Give us the middle of nowhere, where the only map is your buddy's tread marks. This life, no one's born ready for it.
For Can-Am ATVs and UTVs, contact Briney Motorsports in Hayes.